Last year, Cabby Fingers and I started our work together on the Sign with Fingers Big and Small campaign in partnership with National Deaf Children's Society. Cabby Don't Work Fingers are made when everyone comes together. But for many people, these moments can be quite isolating as we find ourselves trying to piece bits of the conversation together. We set out to get people learning British Sign Language with everyday phrases so more of us can feel included in the conversation. And just like that, the campaign created awareness of my superpower. I'm so excited to announce that this year I get to continue the partnership with Cabby Fingers as they have come on board to help me launch the first ever series of Superpowers with Tasha. Together, we want more people to share their own superpowers so more of us can feel included. As well as providing the best studio snack for me and my guests, getting to work with Cabby Fingers again means we will be reminding you regularly to keep learning a little BSL via the Sign with Fingers hub. You can even learn, would you like a snack? And my answer every time, yes. Head to signwithfingers.cabby.co.uk to start your BSL journey. Hi everyone and welcome back to Superpowers with Tasha. I've got a very exciting special guest with me today. He is someone who's very close to my heart and someone very, very special that I met not long ago. The reason why I brought him on was because he's got a side that I want you all to see as well. I see him as a superhero myself. He's got a superpower and he's here to share that side with you all. So those of you that don't know, I actually met him on Love Island and is my boyfriend also. So welcome, my special guest today is Andrew LePage.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Of course. The reason why I want to have you on here is because since being together, I found out so much more about you and there's a side to you that no one else really knows about as well. So I want to dig deeper into that today.
Dig deep. Let's see what I've got.
Dig deep. Are you nervous?
A little bit, to be fair.
Aww.
Once we start going, I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
Yeah, don't be nervous at all. So we're going to start with, back in the day, growing up. Like, where did you grow up?
So, as some of you may know, I was born in Guernsey, and then I moved to Somerset, where I went to a boarding school when I was about 7 years old. The boarding side of it, absolutely loved. I was in a house with 60 boys, my brothers, and that was a lot of fun. And the school was very known for sport. And me with sport, just absolutely loved it. That's what I loved. That was my passion. But also on the other side of it, it was a school for dyslexia, and I had dyslexia. So it was a school that helped me a lot. But I also did not like school. I did not like it, learning and, just always being at the bottom of the class. It was tough, and sport was my outlet, and thankfully that school was just incredible for sport. So it was loved school but also hated school. So it was good though. It was good.
So around 10% of people in the UK have dyslexia. So please, can you just clarify what dyslexia is?
So I would say dyslexia for people can be different for everyone. So for me, it would be, for example, when I'm reading, you get the letters mixed up and things like that, or you just don't read it properly, and you're trying to keep a pace that looks normal. So you kind of you skip a few words by accident and you don't read it properly. So you don't see the words properly and it gets muddled up. And it also can be numbers as well. People can get that really, really difficult, 6 and 9. People can find that tough. So it's different for everyone. I think for me it was just reading. I was very slow, and you probably might even notice in Love Island, whenever I had to do reading, they'd be like, Andrew, can you do that again? It's literally because I'm trying to keep up at a normal pace, and I'd literally skip a few words, and by accident, I just haven't seen it, or I'll get something mixed up because I haven't read it properly. So it can be different for everyone. But yeah, for me, it'd be struggling to read, and numbers as well, try and do it quick in my head. It's tough. So yeah, it can be different for everyone, but yeah, mainly it's reading and numbers.
So when you're in school with dyslexia, did you feel any different when you were in school? Did you feel like you were included, or how was it for you in school?
I think sport helped me a lot in terms of being included. I was very good at sport, so it was, you know, I became popular through that. But then when it was like academic, I was always at the bottom of the class, and I was always like slow at learning and just behind everyone else, and I hated it. And you know, all my friends would be in like a lot higher classes, and I'd be at the bottom. And yeah, it would, in like school they do it in like sets, so like from the cleverest to like, you know, dyslexia. So yeah, it was tough. It was tough to like accept that I'm just always going to be at the bottom academically.
Yeah.
It was hard, but something, you know, just had to kind of get over and move on. And obviously exams, like luckily I had extra time. It was a bit like helped me a lot. But then again, like obviously everyone's finished their exam. It's like I'm still there. So it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
But it was, you know, it was hard. And seeing your friends in like higher classes, it was tough. It was tough to take, but
Do you feel like there's a stigma around it, like around people having dyslexia? Like, have you always been open about it, like owning up to that you've got it, or have you always been quite closed off in terms of you're not really open about it?
I think because I've known for such a long time, I think I've been quite open. Like, if I misspell something, I'll literally say, "Oh, that's my dyslexia for you," and I'll have a little laugh at it. And people are like, "Oh, you're dyslexic," and I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, I'm not ashamed of it.
Yeah.
It just is. It is as part of who I am, and you know, I'd rather say I've literally got dyslexia, and it's I find it hard to spell sometimes, and instead of people just going, "What, you can't spell that," you know. So I'd rather say I've got dyslexia, but I think if you found out at a late age and you didn't really know about what it actually is, then I think you could be a little bit embarrassed to say, "Yeah, I've got dyslexia."
Yeah.
Because it's just like something that says you're not as good as, you know, as other people. And so I guess it can be hard to come out of that. But I think luckily at such a young age, I knew about my dyslexia, so I kind of dealt with it earlier and just learnt to just accept it.
Yeah. So obviously, sport being your escape, what sport did you play in school? Like, what was your passion for sport? Which one?
So I played like many sports, but then as you get older and at the school, you have to choose a sport. And I loved hockey. Hockey was my passion. I played at a high level, played for West of England, Somerset, captain, Millfield. We got to national finals 3 times. Yeah, we like our team was good. I loved hockey. Like hockey was my like goal, and that was it. Like even at school, I knew you couldn't get much money from hockey, but like at school in classes in English, I remember this having a hockey teacher next to me. She just came in to look at watch the class, and it was English, and I wasn't like doing well, and they were like, "Andrew, you need a contract." I was like, I don't care. I'm going to be playing hockey. I'm going to be a professional hockey player. I don't care. And she was like, the hockey teacher was like, "Andrew, that's great, but hockey players don't make that much money." And I was like, "I don't care about the money. Like literally, I want to play hockey. That is my passion." I remember that like plain as day. But yeah, hockey was my main sport, and then I played cricket as well. Again, at a high level, I used to play for Somerset when I was younger. Our team at Milford, we won back-to-back nationals. We were a decent team again. So yeah, loved it. Loved cricket and hockey. They were my main sport, and that was like my escape of school. The amount of times like I would skip school to go play hockey. Hockey and cricket, especially at so I was in a boarding house, and we had like homework time. And the amount of times I used to sneak out at that time to go play just on the Astro, just by myself, just to go play hockey with another one of my mates. We'd just go play hockey. Like I would do it so much. I don't know how I didn't get in trouble, but I'd literally sneak out the house to go play hockey.
Well, I mean, that's your escape though, and obviously then you got your knee injury. So how old were you when you first started realising about your knee?
So I must have been around about 17, 18 when I was playing hockey, and I'd play a full game, and then the next day I wouldn't be able to walk, and I did that for about 2 years. And I just thought, I didn't really think anything of it. I mean, I should have. I mean, I literally was not walking the next day, so I should have probably thought something of it. And then my brother actually plays out in Holland professionally, and he was like, you should come out with me, like, you know, have a trial. And I was like, that's my passion. That was what I wanted to do. So I was like, absolutely. So I was like, I want to get my knee sorted out because I don't want to be going over there with an injury and want to be, you know, fresh. I want to be good. So I went to London and had an MRI scan, and the doctor was literally like, yeah, you need to stop running altogether. Not just hockey, like running or lifting weights in the gym. You literally cannot do that now. You have to stop immediately. It's all about, you know, your injury's that bad. It's getting worse and worse. But he even said, if you came to me the day you did your injury, I don't even know when it was, there's nothing I could do anyway. So yeah, it was a tough pill to swallow. I think at the time I didn't really digest it. I literally he told me you need to stop running and hockey, and I was more actually concerned about, I can't even go to the gym and like do like leg day or anything like that. And it was a while till afterwards that I realised like I actually cannot play the sport I love anymore, cricket or hockey. So yeah, it was tough and it sucks, and especially at such a young age. I think must have been like when I was 20 when he told me, you need to stop playing. 2021, you need to stop running, and like that's a crucial age of like you're getting better and better, and you have to just stop immediately. It's it sucked.
And when the doctor told you that you couldn't run anymore, like did that really affect your mental health at the time? Because, you know, you were young, you had the dreams of becoming a hockey player, you wanted to play out with your brother in Holland, and I can't imagine that feeling of, it's like someone taking it away from you like that. And how did that feel for you in that time?
At the time, like I said, I didn't really process it. And then over time, like, you realise you can't even do the simple things of just running. And it really gets you, or like leg day, and like I'm still in pain today. Like it's not like recovered. I'm not like pain free. Like there's days where I'm in pain. So at the time, it was I didn't process it, and I was like, oh, that sucks. And then over time, it was just like, actually, wait a minute, this really does suck. This is mental. Like I'm at such a young age. I had sport was my passion, my love. That's my escape from everything, and I can't do it. And it sucked. It was awful. It was, literally, like I said, during like mental health, it was awful. Like you just can't do the stuff that you love, and forever, that's it. It's just like taking it away from you. Yeah, it was hard. It was really hard to get over, but I always try to stay as positive that I can. Like that's what I always try to. Always try to stay positive. So I think I took it a lot better than a lot of people would have. Luckily, I think, you know, I always try to be as positive as I can. I was like, okay, cool, I can't do this. We can find other passions. But yeah, it wasn't easy. Like the amount of times my mates still were like, Andrew, like you're coming over to Guernsey, John, can you play for us this weekend? And I'm like, lads, I'm not allowed. I physically can't. But they still want me to play, and like they still talk about, you know, what I was like, what I was like at hockey, and it's just like, oh, like, it hurts and like it sucks. And I don't think I went to a hockey pitch after I got told for maybe like a year and a half. Didn't even go watch my mates, because it was just like, because it sucks. It's just like, I want to be out there helping the boys out, and you can't do anything. So I still hardly ever go to a national, like a pitch. I still hardly ever go. It sucks.
I can't imagine how it feels. Like, it's like, because with me dancing, it's like if I was to hurt my knee or break I would never be able to dance again. And the thought of that being taken away from me, I can't imagine that feeling.
Because for you, that would have been like your escape, wouldn't it? Yeah,
it is still my escape. And, you know, I think everyone has their own little escapes from this world sometimes, and that was yours. And, you know, what is your escape now?
I think through lockdown, I think it was definitely playing COD. Everyone will know Warzone. So yeah, that was it. It was gaming. My brothers play game as well. So it was still a sense of, I like to be competitive. I like to win things. So it was like, if I can't do it on the pitch, I can't do it running. It was like, people didn't understand that. Like, it was, why Andrew loves the game. It's like, well, it's because I can't go do it on the pitch. I want to do it on some other device. And I got good at that and did that. So yeah, that was definitely an escape.
That's interesting because it's kind of like, you know, gaming, you can't do it on the pitch, but you do it on the games instead. And that's quite interesting that you can outlet it in that way, that you're still kind of doing the sport you love, but in a virtual way, I guess.
Yeah. And you're still playing with your mates. It's just like, it's literally like the same, well, it's not the same, but it's similar.
Yeah.
And like, that's why like people like didn't really understand it. It's just like, well, you can go outside, you can go run, you can go do all this, you can play sport, netball or hockey, cricket. I can't. That's my outlet. That's something that I can do and I'm good at.
Yeah.
So that was an outlet. And then obviously as well, again, it's sport related. So I became a personal trainer. I could demonstrate what I was doing, but obviously it would all be body weight. But I still loved it. It was still interacting with people, helping their goals, and you know, hearing about their struggles as well. So it was good to like get to know people like that, and personal training was great, and I loved seeing people like achieve their goals. It was incredible. So I got enjoyment through them, you know, watching them do like be able to do a push up after like never doing a push up and things like that, or running. They've never run in like 20 years, something like that, and now they can go for a jog. And so yeah, it was amazing. I loved that as well. I loved helping people. So helping people was definitely an escape, and again, it was still sport related.
Yeah.
And gym, I loved the gym, so it worked hand in hand. Yeah.
No, for sure. And then obviously after, you know, uni, then you discovered that you had brain tumour at the age of 20, right?
Yeah, so it's like 2021. I had like a lump on my head for like a few years, and like my brother, he like felt it, and he was like, Andrew, what is wrong with you, basically? What is that? And I was like, I don't know, I've had it there for a while. And he was like, all right, there and then, he literally called up the doctor and like got me an appointment, and had an MRI scan, something like that, and then went back to the doctor again, and yeah, told me that I had this brain tumour. And it was like, what the hell? Like, I just went back into my car, just started crying, and literally went back to work that day, like that afternoon.
You went back to work?
Back to work, and they all knew I'd gone to the doctors for it, and they were just like, oh, Andrew, how did it go? And I just couldn't speak. I literally just could not speak. And eventually one of my colleagues went to my boss and was literally like, I think Andrew needs to go home and just like, you know, just process it kind of thing. Yeah, no, it was scary, like really, really scary. Like I was literally like, what the hell? Like I could, like this is major, like having a brain tumor at like 20. But yeah, literally within 2 weeks, flew to London, had surgery, got it removed. But yeah, at the time it was so scary and like what could have been. And luckily my brother, you know, he called the doctor, because I would have left it. I'd have been like, oh, it's just part of my skull. That's just what is hard. So I just thought it was literally my skull. And it was big as well, literally like pretty big.
Yeah.
But yeah, so at the time it was so scary, and like I was crying and I couldn't speak to my colleagues. Like, you know, when you like want to say something, you just like, you just can't.
Yeah.
It was like that, and yeah, no. So I got that removed. Within like a month of it all happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, luckily I got it removed, and yeah, luckily I'm all good.
Yeah. No, of course. And I think at the time you're also dealing with your knee as well. So I feel like you've gone through so many obstacles. And
at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like literally at the same time. And, you know, you've come out the other side so much stronger. And, you know, I think you're a great pioneer, especially for the younger generation, because you've shown to people that you can have, you know, your dreams taken away. But if you stay positive, everything does happen for a reason. And you can get through those hard moments and look on the bright side, because there's always light at the end of a tunnel. And I think that's why you're so great at that. You always do look at the the light at the end of the tunnel. And I think that's so important for that message to be shared out there, especially from you.
Yeah.
You didn't stop, because there could have been times where you could have really caved in, but you still had that ounce of, keep going.
Positivity and just knowing that, okay, that's not meant to be, but something else will. And yeah, it's literally living proof. Like, I could have gone to Holland, could have done all this. Okay, but now this has all happened, and yeah, I couldn't be more grateful. And I've met you as well, which is amazing. So everything's all happened like for a reason, and yeah, it's. I would love to now go for a run now, and everything that I've been through would be so cool. But it is what it is. But you gotta stay positive, and yeah, I'm grateful for everything that's happened though.
Yeah, like what advice would you give to, the younger generation that maybe have got a knee injury or a bad injury that's kind of they can't do what they want to love doing anymore? Like, what advice would you give to them?
I would say my advice would be, like, even if things don't work out how you want it to, it will always happen for a reason. And if you stay positive and you look for those reasons of why, then you will find what you're looking for, and you'll find something even better that you didn't know existed or your path was going to go down. So I'd say literally just always believe in the process and trust the process. What we have to say a lot. Yeah, I'd say trust the process and just be positive, because it will all work out, in my opinion.
No, for sure.
You just got to be positive. And obviously things might seem like it can't get any worse, and it does get worse, but eventually it will get better.
Yeah.
So that would be my message.
No, it's true, because, you have to trust the process, and, it can get hard sometimes, and life does get hard, but it's about pushing through and finding your superpower. And that's why, I see that you do have a superpower, because you've overcame a massive injury that, stopped you from doing what you wanted to do, but you found something else. Like, you went into real estate in Dubai, then you went on a big show, and, I think it goes to show, if you keep reaching for the stars, you will find a different new path, and you still will find your happiness, which clearly you have. You have found happiness elsewhere. And, I think people that, if you're listening to this, if you're dealing with an injury right now, or you're struggling to push through, like Andrew said, like, trust the process, and, don't give up, because also trust the people around you as well. I think, have that support around you, and you will get through it. And, it may seem like the end of the world, and I guess for you, you felt like that. But like you said, you will find something else, and I think that's so important for people to know.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree 100%. Yeah.
So obviously when you first got diagnosed with a brain tumour, you had the few weeks to process that before your operation. How was it for you processing it? Did it change your thoughts about anything? Having the MRI scan and stuff and everything that came with it. How was it for you personally? 'Cause, I mean, I can't imagine someone saying to me, you've got brain tumour, you need operation, you need to get it out as soon as possible. And, it's quite a sensitive subject, because it is quite, terrifying.
Yeah. No, at the time, when I first was initially told, like I said, I was crying in the car, but like I literally thought, that's it. Like, I'm 20. I literally thought, that's it. Like, I'm done. Like, that's it for me. Thought my life was over. Like, I genuinely thought that. I thought, I can't believe it. I'm so young, and this is it. So, I was terrified. I was so scared, and I didn't know what to do. I can't believe I even went back to work. I should have just sat that off. But yeah, no, I was just really, I was just terrified. I was so scared, and I didn't know how to tell anyone. Well, I told my mum and dad, obviously, straight away, and my brother. But yeah, no, I was just crying and just so upset, and just thought, what the hell? I can't believe this has now happened at such a young age. I just thought this would be not something I would never go through. You just always think when you're young, like, I'm invincible, like, I'll live forever, and I'll be able to run forever, I'll be able to do this forever. Like, and then I was thinking at 20, what is going on? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, it's mad. I can't believe I'm getting this. Like, why me? You always think, why me? Like, even with my knee, I still think, why me? Why, out of everyone in the world, why do I have to be the one that can't run? Why can't I And then with the brain tumour, I thought that was it. So, what changed? I'd say like, yeah, just from then I was just like, well, I've just got to live my life. And just like after the surgery and it was fine, I just thought, well, that was a close call. And I just thought, I've got to just enjoy my life as much as I can now. And like, that's why I always went on holidays after that. I always just try to enjoy my life and take every moment as I can instead of just working all the time. And that's why I started to probably hate work a bit more after that, because I thought, I only live once. I don't want to be stuck in an office. So that's probably one of the main reasons why I changed then to move to London to do PTing. And then I came back to Guernsey. I was like, well, what am I doing? I don't want to be back here. I want to be out in Dubai. So I think it made me actually become like more like, what's the word? Like basically adventurous and take every opportunity that I can instead of just being in Guernsey and which I love Guernsey, but like just sitting in an office every day. I didn't want to do that. So it made me become a person that takes opportunities whenever it comes and just enjoy life as much as I can, because like we actually generally only live once, and unfortunately I'm not that little kid that will live forever like I thought. So yeah, no, it made me just live my life as much as I possibly can, and yeah, you know, like I said, I'm always positive. So after that surgery, I'm like, all right, cool, I'm fine. Let's go enjoy my life, and look where I am now. So it all happens for a reason, and that's probably one of the reasons why I moved to Dubai, did all this, and so yeah, no, it's all been great in the end. But yeah, it was tough. It was tough when I was doing it, but it all worked out for the best.
So throughout your recovery process, obviously you had your friends and family supporting you. What really, really helped you? Like, what did they do that helped you push through?
So what did they do? So I used to say, my mum, she's literally, she'll always be there. She's like I'd say a hero to me. Like whenever like I'm ill or whenever I'm, surgeries or anything, she's literally there hand and foot, literally. So I was very grateful. I'm very lucky that I had my mum to basically literally look after me. And then, yeah, I'd say like just friends. Obviously you can't be there all the time, and there's only so much you can do. But I would just say all I would ever want is just the odd message here and there, just like, I hope you're good, and, I'm always here to talk to. And that's all really. That's all you can really do. And, obviously when people are going through something hard and they might be a bit more snappy, and I don't think they don't mean it. It's just tough. They're going through something and it sucks for them. They can't come out and help you, and so they might snap and they might take something bad, but they don't mean it, and just know that it will all be good. So that if they snap at you, it's not because they just I think they're just going through something, and just be there for them. That's all you can really do, and yeah, just be there for them as much as you can. Obviously there's only so much you can do, but yeah, just be positive for them. That's all I'd want, is someone just to be positive and just go, yeah, I'm not long now, and I will be doing this and stuff like that. It's just look forward to the good days. And
so would you say that you snapped quite a bit? No,
I don't think I didn't too much, but I can imagine some people would. Like if you're stuck in bed all day and I don't know, someone says something, I can imagine someone would get annoyed easier, quicker, right? I think I didn't so much. I think I was just, like I said, I'm always positive. So yeah. Even if I'm going through something hard, I don't want to give anyone grief. So it's just so I can imagine some people probably would, but I would just say don't take it personally. I'll just say, look, they care, just be positive, and that will be all good in the end. So yeah, all I want is people around me just being positive. That was it. That's all I want. Yeah.
So obviously you're a very positive person, and how did you, especially people that maybe struggle to be positive, what tips or what helped you to be positive? Sometimes people can find that challenging. So how can you overcome that and find that positivity? What's your way?
So for me, even with my knee injury, I still went to the gym. I still did upper body and stuff like that. So for me, it was working out. So I think, like that's why one of the reasons I became a PT as well is because it brings out the endorphins of like good endorphins. So like it's always so I think exercise is so good for the mental health, and I know that's so hard on a lot of people to go on and go to the gym and stuff like that, but it doesn't have to be going to the gym. It can be going out for a walk, or it can be going for a swim in the sea. You know, just something simple like that. Going outside and getting some fresh air, clearing your head. I think that's one of the best ways of doing it. Again, you can having a little escape of going gaming, something like that, and just being with your mates. I think a lot of people then tend to like also go to the pub with their friends and like alcohol. And I mean, I don't know if that's the best way of doing it, because alcohol is literally a depressant. So I'd probably avoid that. But like even if they're going and you go, try and be strong and go, yeah, I'm just going to order a lemonade or something like that, and just talk to them. But yeah, speaking to your friends is also a great one to do it. But yeah, I think just trying to stay active. Don't just. I know it's easier said than done, but I wouldn't just sit in bed all day and watch TV. Try and do something once a day. Just have like a little chat. Give yourself a little challenge. Once a day, I'm going to do this. Once a day, I'm going to do that. And that will really help, I think.
So with dyslexia, I feel like sometimes it can be seen as a weakness, but how do you turn that into your strength and not let it, not use it as a weakness? Like you turned it into strength and you owned up to it. So how did you turn that into strength and own up to that?
I think like I was very open with it. If I misspelt something or I did something, I'll literally make a joke of it and say, oh, that's my dyslexia for you. And then people understood that, okay, he actually has dyslexia, it's fine. Yeah, he's going to make mistakes, it's fine. But to make it a strength, I'd try and be more careful, if I'm honest, like, because I know I have this and I have a tendency to make little mistakes. When I'm doing something I know is important, then I'll look over it, not just once, not twice, but like 3 or 4 times, and I'll go over it and I'll be like, okay, every little detail I'll make sure is right. And I think that can be a strength. When you're dealing with something important, for example, when I was doing real estate and I'm doing like a contract and they want specific things in the contract, I will make it my mission to make it correct, exactly correct, and how they want their spelling correct. I'll be like, can you please make sure your spelling is correct as well, and things like that. So so for me it was just being, what would it be like, overdoing it pretty much, but making sure it's all correct. So I'd see that as a strength, because hopefully then no mistakes, you don't have to do the contract, things like that all over again. So so I think my strength with that would be is I take more care into the details.
Obviously the whole concept of this podcast is superpowers, and when I met you and the more I got to know you, there's a side to you that I saw as like, you have got superpower as well, and you were so understanding and accepting of my superpower. And it goes to show with like, you need to treat people with kindness, and you never know what really happens behind closed doors. You never really know what people have gone through, and you went through hardships in your life and you've come out the other side, and that's your superpower. And that's why, I love you for that, because you really are a strong person inside, and you just an aura to be around, and you're loving and you're positive, and of course you do have your down days as well, and and the whole concept is not disability, it's a superpower, and dyslexia is seen as a disability as well. And I think it's all about embracing it, and it is my superpower. It's something different and unique about you, and I think that's why with you I was so drawn to that, because you also went through hardships in life, and we both could connect to that level in terms of we went through hard times, but we've come out the other side a lot stronger, and I think you're great like that. Very, very great. But I've got one question to ask you. What would you say your superpower is?
I think it's pretty obvious. I think for me, my superpower is just being positive. Just like, even you can be in the lowest of lowest, but like I always try and be positive. And if I see anyone down, I'll always be like, I'll be as positive as I can. So my superpower, I would say, is just being positive and spreading that positivity around.
I love that. Wow. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.